According to the common Beltway wisdom for this year's elections, health reform is supposed to be an awful thing that Democrats must run away from. An awful, terrible burden Democrats have saddled themselves with, like an albatross that will sink them on Election Day. Run away from health reform, run fast. But you know, whenever the president mentions health reform on the stump, as he did in Wisconsin last week, he does so to huge applause. Other Democrats, like Wisconsin Senator Russ Feingold, have started running ads on health reform, and health reform still polls really, really well. So how is it the common wisdom that Democrats have to run away from it? It's the common wisdom because Republicans have been trying to make it the common wisdom. A self-serving effort to keep as many Democrats silent or on the defensive about health reform as possible. Same thing, I posit. Same thing with TARP and the stimulus, both of which are supposed to be swear words in this election. Hey, one of them is even 4 letters. So it would be a horrible political liability to support either of these programs, both of which were such disasters. The voters are so angry about them. Except they weren't disasters. TARP officially ended yesterday. It was passed during the last months of the Bush administration. It is often referred to as a bailout, a $700 billion bailout, but only half of that was ever actually dispersed. 6 months after President Obama took office, the administration projected the program would lose pretty much all of the money that was dispersed. By this August, the estimated loss was down to only $66 billion. Now, as TARP ends, the Treasury says the worst-case scenario is that taxpayers stand to be on the hook for all of TARP for about $50 billion. The best case scenario has AIG paying back all of the remaining $49 billion that it still owes the government. If that happens, not only will TARP have cost far less than anyone ever imagined it would, if that happens, the program almost paid for itself, did pay for itself, or conceivably even made a profit. Oh, and by the way, it worked. How can you tell? Well, have you used an ATM recently? Did you go to the ATM today with full confidence not only that whatever money you happen to have would be there, but that you still have an account as well as a bank to go to? Thanks, TARP. Those banks that were too big to fail, oh God, I hate that they're too big to fail. You know what? They didn't fail. It worked. As did the stimulus. The Obama administration said it wanted to save or create 3.5 million jobs. The Congressional Budget Office says it is on track to save or create 3.5 million jobs. It worked. Does any of this mean the economy still doesn't suck? No, the economy still sucks. But does this mean that what the administration has been doing on the economy is working? Take a look at this. This is what Ezra Klein posted as a way of explaining it. Not today, but he recently posted this. He got it from the New York Times. This is how much the gross domestic product, the GDP, declined in the last quarter of 2008 before Obama took office. And this is the first quarter of 2009. It's getting better. That line there, that's when the stimulus started. Then there's the next quarter, and the next quarter, and the next quarter. That last quarter there, does that still suck? Yes, that still sucks. Is that better than everything else in that graph? Yes, it certainly is. So yes, TARP and stimulus are swear words in this year's election. Everybody thinks they're awful. Terrible, horrible, awful things that hurt the economy. And not only hurt the economy, but will hurt the Democrats in this election if they dare to campaign on them. Run away from them. That is the narrative. That is the common wisdom. The facts tell a different story. Both were the exact opposite of awful. They were successful, cost-effective programs that did exactly what they were designed to do. Instead of denigrating them as swear words, instead of running away from them in the election year, imagine what this election might look like if Democrats started to campaign on the actual accomplishments that they accomplished, on the good things that big Democratic-supported programs have done, things like TARP and the stimulus. What would that look like? What would that look like not only for this year's crop of Democratic candidates trying to campaign against Republicans who are trying to get away with characterizations of these programs that don't meet the facts, but what would that look like for the long run when Democrats campaigned on what they are capable of doing when policy makes sense? What would that look like? There are 29 days left to find out.